Welcome to Faith and Work. I'm Carol Evans, and I'm so glad you're here. This podcast was born out of a passion to help people live boldly in their faith while embracing the work you've been called to do. Whether that's a boardroom, a classroom, a kitchen, anywhere God's placed you, you carry a unique light. Right where you are, you have the power to reflect the love, hope, and compassion of Jesus Christ in a way that no one else can. Your job isn't just a job, it's a calling. In your faith, it's not separate from your work. It's woven right in the middle of it. So let's go. Let's talk faith, purpose, and let's live it out right where we are. Today, I want to talk about the subject of burnout. When we hear the word burnout, we often imagine people running ragged, ready to quit their jobs, ready to throw in the towel. They are burned out. They need a vacation. But that's not always how burnout starts. It's really hard to see the effects of burnout because it disguises itself as rewards. Let me tell you what I mean. When you first are on the path to burnout, it comes with a lot of amazing rewards. Today, I want to dive into 3 of those rewards that I have dealt with over the years. There's 3 specific ones that are personal to me. There's many, many different ways and different reasons people can be burnout. But for me, there are 3 specific that come to mind as soon as I hear the word. One of the primary reasons early on in my career that I struggled with burnout was the reward of the money. There's 2 different ways that money can cause burnout. The first way that money can cause burnout is that you are making more money than you've ever made. And you want to keep up the work that it took to get to this place in your career. So you just keep working. You keep striving. You keep getting in. And you just want to make sure that you don't risk losing this great salary that you dreamed of making. You don't want to lose it. So you just keep working for it. And money is a reward for hard work. It's not bad to earn a great salary, to work a great job. That's not a bad thing. That's not a sin. That's not a negative thing. Money in itself does not cause burnout. But the striving to get more money does cause burnout. So you could be maybe in a job where you're making more money than you've ever made, and you want to keep it up. Maybe you're climbing the ladder and you can see that the next promotion is going to get you to that dollar amount that you've always dreamed of. And you just think, if I can work a little bit harder, I'll get there, and then I can rest, and then I can relax. If I can just get to that next dollar amount. The second area that can cause burnout is when we are striving for respect. When we strive for respect from our peers or from our bosses, it's very similar to money. Either you've finally got the respect and you don't want to lose it, or if you could just get them to respect you, you wouldn't have to work so hard. I remember years ago, I was doing my first big project launch as a supervisor of a technical support team. We have done small launches before, but this was a really big company-wide launch. There were a lot of eyes on our team, and I was a newer leader in the organization, newer in this department. I've been with the company for several years, but new in this department. And I felt like I had to prove myself to my peers. And when we were getting up early in the morning, arriving to work when it's still dark out, and you were leaving work when the sun was well past gone to bed. And I remember the feeling that came from knowing that my peers, my new peers, trusted me. It was almost to the point of an addicting feeling because you thought, man, this feels so good for people to respect me like this, to have other professionals that I really respected them. They had accomplished a lot. They were very knowledgeable in their fields, and I respected them. So for them to reciprocate that and respect me, it felt really, really good. It felt great. And it was really easy to think, man, I have to keep working this hard. After the product launch was over, I didn't need to keep getting to work that early. I didn't need to stay that late. But that feeling of respect was so addicting, it makes you want to keep working that hard. because it feels good when people like you, when people say things like, you're doing a really good job in this role, or you've really helped the team, or your team members come to you and say, hey, I really appreciate the way you've led. I really appreciate the way you've gotten in the trenches and you've stayed here with us. You've gotten here early. You've stayed late. That feels really good. And even though it's not required after that product launch was long done, it still felt like I wanted to keep going. I wanted to keep up that pace. And that's an area and a time when I can look back. That's been years ago now, but I can look back and think, man, I can see how that initial launch kind of set me up for struggling with work-life balance because I really craved that respect from my peers. Respect isn't bad, but craving it from people can produce a really unhealthy work habit. The third area that for me, this one is the one that I struggled with the most and really, really took a long time for me to get past this specific area of burnout. And that is title. There was a really, really long time in my career where I just thought if I could just get to the next title. I was a supervisor, and then I was a manager, and then I was a senior manager, and I really wanted that director title. A lot of people that I worked with, no one ever said, well, you can't do this because you're not a director. But there were people outside of my organization that would say, what is exactly that you do? And I would tell them what I would do. And they would say, well, what is your title? And I would tell them my title. And it was kind of that look in their face like, you're just a senior manager, or you're just this, you're just that, whatever title that I was at the time I was talking to them. And no one at work ever made me feel like I couldn't get my job done or I didn't have enough say-so to request something. It wasn't that at all. It was a personal thing for me that I thought, man, I just really want this title. And I started looking for other jobs because I really wanted that title. And I just thought if I could get that title on my resume, then I would be set. I was looking for jobs that made even less money than what I made because I just wanted the title. I've been in the senior manager role for a while. I was very comfortable in that role and I was ready for the next thing. And it wasn't burnout because I was working too hard. It wasn't burnout because the hours were too long or because my work-life balance was off. I have a boss and a team that very much encourages work-life balance. We help each other. We support each other. We want to make sure that everyone on the team can be with their families for major life events and take vacations. It wasn't the work-life balance. It wasn't that my bosses were pushing me. It was an internal struggle that caused a problem with burnout because my own mental block had caused me to think that if I didn't have this director title, that I wasn't really fulfilled in my career. So onward I went with this search for the next best job. I looked and I looked and I looked. I applied for so many jobs. I don't know how many jobs I applied for. I applied for a lot of jobs. And I prayed and I would cry out to God and just say, God, I don't understand. I feel like you want me to make a difference. I feel like you want me to grow in my career. You've given me this drive and this hunger. Why can't I find something that allows me to use my tools, my ability to the best of my ability? What's going on? And it took a while. I don't know how long, maybe 9 months, a year, where I was praying, I was crying out to God. I would come home and I would be so frustrated. And my poor husband, sweet, sweet man, would sit on the porch swing with me and we would just sit there and swing together and I would unload on him all of my frustrations that I just don't understand. I just want more. For me, the turning point of my burnout came whenever I realized and accepted that my fulfillment in my job wasn't going to be met by my title. And there were times in my life when the money was more appetizing. There were times when I craved the respect. But the one that plagued me the longest and probably the hardest was that drive for a title. And it was a long time. It was a journey. For me, I had to change some behaviors. Because if we keep going on and we're striving for more money and more title, maybe for you, it's a specific type of job that you're looking for. Maybe it's the hours you're working. Maybe for you, it's a totally different reason that you're burnout. Today is just my personal story with how I've struggled with burnout and what I had to do to get control of my burnout. Maybe for you, you've got some bosses or you have a work culture that's unhealthy and it is driving, it is pushing. For me, my struggle was internal. When I was pushing, it was because I was pushing myself. When I got to work way earlier than what anyone ever told me, it was because I did that to myself. No one ever told me I had to do that. So for me, what really finally helped to turn that corner was when I could identify and could call it out. If Carol, you have attached a meaning to your job that it was never meant to fulfill. And when I finally accepted that, I could honestly take a deep breath and say, okay, my life and my job and my mission and my purpose are not the same. And I had somehow gotten those two things woven together. You see, for me, a job, like all of us, we need the paycheck to pay our bills to fund our life, right? Well, somehow I had gotten it in my head that my purpose in life was also my job, that I was here on this earth to accomplish being the best at work. I don't know how or when that happened. I think it was just over time, being head down, focused on work, that I just became a little bit obsessed. And it feels really good to get a lot of things done. It feels good to have a sense of accomplishment. It feels good to have a list of things that you want to do with your team, for your team, on your team, and then to get them done. That's a great feeling. And just like Simon Sinek says, there's this dopamine that is fed in your body. I love that TED Talk that does it. If you've never seen it, go watch it. It's amazing. But he talks about the dopamine in your body when you work really hard and you want to get more done. That was completely and 100% who I was. And I was on a really unhealthy path. And I had to take a lot of quiet walks and do some self-reflecting. I prayed a lot. I cried out to God a lot. I sang a lot. I listened to a lot of podcasts. I read my Bible a lot. I started digging in deep into a lot of different things that I hadn't taken the time for because I had been really obsessed with my job. My job was my life in a lot of ways. And I have two wonderful children and a wonderful husband, and he is extremely supportive. But in many ways, I was just head down, buried in my job. Every waking moment. On the way to work, I would listen to books that were professional development based. Everything I did outside of home and family was focused on my job and being really good at my job. So when I didn't climb the ladder as fast as I wanted to, it was frustrating because I just wanted to get there faster. And I had to go intentionally change behaviors, intentionally stop listening to so many professional development books. I love them. They're great. I've got my bookshelf right here beside me full of amazing books. But Mary Kay Ash said, you make important what you pay attention to. And I really had to stop and pay attention to other things in my life that were more important. For me, during that time, when I was head down, focused on my career and focused on my job, my marriage really started to suffer because I wasn't paying attention to it. And I could see it. I could feel the tension. I could just feel it. It was evident. David and I laugh all the time. He makes me laugh every day. But during this time, I wasn't laughing. And then when I started to feel this pull and tug of what if my job isn't my main purpose? What if I've been missing it this whole time? And then I started to realize and kind of pick my head up a little bit and see all that I was missing around me. And look up and see. And man, with regret, look at the calendar and think, I have said no to every field trip that my son Jackson had at the time. And I had to say, man, I can't do this. So finally, his last field trip of kindergarten, I put in a day off on the calendar and I went to his field trip. And I thought, why have I not done this? That was the first field trip I had ever been to. Went through pre-K, he went through kindergarten, and it was the last field trip of kindergarten. And I said, okay, fine, I'm just going to go do it. And I did, and it was wonderful. We went to a farm for the day with about 100 kindergartners. I don't know how many there were, but there were so many. I think it was like Knox County School Day. I pulled in the parking lot and it felt like 100 buses. I don't know how many there were, but there were so many buses. But it was so fun seeing him run around with his friends and seeing him go and explore. I wouldn't trade that day for anything. We have the best pictures from that day. And friends, I want to just point out that this was not someone at work forcing me to work harder. This was me putting pressure on myself because I had added this value, I had added this meaning to work that it was never meant to have. And that was on me. And I had to take some intentional steps to correct that behavior. Because if you make money your priority and you work so hard to get that money, you're working during the same time that you wouldn't be enjoying that money. So there's no time to enjoy the boat that you bought. There's no time to enjoy whatever it is you buy with your money or the trips because you're so dedicated to work. And we have taken more family vacations the last few years than we've ever taken before. And I've gone on vacation and not taken my computer. Most things for work I can check into on my mobile phone. Not everything, but most things. And I have a wonderful, very competent team that I trust. They can handle it when I'm gone. If we have teams that we can't trust to handle it when we're gone, then we haven't trained them. And that's on you. And that's on me. If you are a leader in your organization and you can't step away, then you need to work on your team. I have an amazing team. And they are more than capable of running things while I take a few days to be with my family. And yours probably are too. And if you don't have a team, if you're not a leader, you still need to take some time off. My mom, beginning of this year, passed away of pancreatic cancer. She was diagnosed in September of 2024, and she passed away in February of 2025. So we had about a 5-month window. It was early February. It was February 3rd. And if I learned anything in that cancer journey, I learned a lot. But one of the things that I learned was that every single day that we have is a gift. Every single day. Friends, there is a shortage of time in our life. And I don't want to waste any of it striving for the wrong things and burn out because I have put pressure on myself to accomplish something that is an ambiguous, made-up goal. Because here's the problem with these targets. It's great to have goals, but when we strive so hard for a certain dollar amount or a certain title or respect from our peers, there's always another title. There's always more money. There's always someone who's more respected than you are or smarter than you are in the room. That can't be the goal. It's not healthy and it's never attainable. So today I want to just encourage you to stop. And if you are struggling with burnout right now, find some time to get alone by yourself and just do some reflecting. What has caused this striving? When did it start? Is this a pressure you're putting on yourself? Is it because you're trying to maybe undo some things that were in the past? What are you trying to prove? And who are you trying to prove it to? To stop, reflect, and then make the needed changes to get back to a healthy place. It is so, so worth it when you can get to a place and understand that your God-given value is not in what you do. It is in who you are. And my identity in Jesus Christ is far more valuable than what I do from 9 to 5. I love my job and I love my team. I have a great team. I really, really do. But tomorrow, if I won the lottery and I left my company and my team, they would be 100% okay because they are skilled, they are qualified, and they would probably have my position posted by the end of the week, and they would have it filled within 30 days. Now, hopefully, hope you and I are replaceable at work. As hard as that is to believe, we are replaceable at work. I would miss them. I would miss the work. It's been a part of my life for a really long time now, but it is not who I am. And your work is not who you are. Your work is where you are. It is a part of your check that you get to take home to your family. But this burnout that you're feeling, it's not worth it, friends. It is 100% not worth it. So today I want to encourage you to do what it takes. If you have a spouse or significant other, maybe you guys need to sit down and have a real heart-to-heart conversation and say, hey, I'm feeling really burnt out. Maybe your burnout is not causing you to overwork. Maybe it's causing you to not even want to show up because you're so tired. So I want to encourage you today to take some time, do some self-reflecting. Where is this pressure coming from? Where is the burnout coming from? Is it coming from unrealistic expectations at work? Is it coming from extended hours for a long period of time? Where is it coming from? Retrace your steps, get back to a healthy path, have the conversations you need to have with your boss, with your team, at home, and make the needed changes. Have an accountability partner. Have someone that you trust say, hey, I'm struggling with burnout. I've got to make some changes. Here's the first one I'm going to commit to. Have that accountability partner call you in a week, 2 weeks. Set up a regular coffee with them. Commit to making the changes now. It's worth it. Your family is worth making these changes for. Your life is worth making these changes for. Your job is not who you are. It is what you do. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of Faith at Work. If today's conversation encouraged you, I would love for you to share it with a friend or a coworker. And I would love to hear what you think. So you can text me at 615-669-3209. I would love to hear your thoughts, your feedback. And if you have questions that you would like answered on a future episode, leave me your name and the city and state that you are reaching out to me from. That number again is 615-669-3209. I would love to hear your thoughts. I look forward to being with you again next week. Until then, let's keep living out our faith at work.